Hey everybody, welcome. What's up? Points. Philip here with Points of Philip. It's that way this time. Anyway, so we're here. What you will notice is that I am don't have my co-host with me just yet. He did text me that he'll be joining momentarily. So we're going to go ahead and start talking a little bit about hotels. I'm going to tell you kind of what the plan is for this conversation, what we hope to give you guys as well for this, just because we really just Daniel had a really great suggestion to talking about should we do hotels the cheap way? Do we want to make sure that it's kind of as cheap as possible, or do we want to do hotels the kind of expensive luxury way where everyone really just kind of enjoys what they're able to do with their vacation? First up, I want to say thank you super much for Mike Newland for the super chat. Thank you so much for $20. That's amazing. Let's go Waldorf all the way. The lounge access is very powerful. Absolutely, yeah. Once you actually get onto the executive lounges with some of these Hilton hotels, it is kind of a life-changing experience, because when my wife and I, when we were staying at the Conrad in London, we were able to get into the executive lounge. And what was great is, like, if you're trying to go to bed and you want a late night kind of drink before you go to bed, you just pop down, get a nice little cup of chamomile tea that you get to drink by the fireplace. Like, those executive lounges really make a big deal. So yeah, Mike Newland, great point. Mike, again, thanks so much for that wonderful gift that you gave Jen and I about for the baby. That was amazing. So thanks so much again for the support. You are incredible. Okay, so really great point, Mike. So I did get a text from Daniel that he should be joining us shortly. But anyway, so yeah, so the question that we want to discuss is kind of like all about hotels. Does status matter? One of the things that we will be talking about is the Diamond Reserve status with Hilton, because at first blush, I was kind of thinking really it doesn't make much of a difference, at least for me. But especially if you get to the point where it depends on how many accesses you get to those upgrades to your suites with your Hilton stays. Because if it is something that's kind of reliable, then well, that Diamond Reserve might be worth pursuing. Although I did do a video recently where I was talking about the fact that I really thought maybe it might not be, just because a lot of my high dollar tier things with Hilton recently that I've booked have been through American Express's Fine Hotels and Resorts program. So my wife and I recently stayed at the Conrad in Fort Lauderdale, and we were able to actually get a full upgrade to a one-bedroom suite, and so that was really nice. And it was a nice hotel. But all right, so we have Daniel from Card Smarter. He just joined, so I'm going to go ahead and let him pop in, and we're going to get the conversation started. Daniel, I hope you're ready for us. How's it going, Daniel? Thanks so much for being here. Can you hear me? Are you? Maybe my audio is bad. Anybody else not hear me? All right, Daniel's still working on some stuff. So once he gives me the okay, that looks like he's good, we continue. Let's see, Kirby, thanks so much. Currently at the Hyatt Breathless Riviera, relaxing after a nice dip in the giant jacuzzi. Kirby, you are living the life, man. I was actually just talking about Hyatt for. Is that one of the all-inclusives? Because I know we were kind of really talking about just how great they are, some of the all-inclusives. And one of the things that's really kind of strange about is Hilton actually recently lost a couple of all-inclusives in the Caribbean as well. I do know that Rose Hall in Jamaica recently became a non-Hilton property. I'm not sure who they ended up joining, but yeah, no, that's amazing. I love a giant jacuzzi. Those hot tubs are relaxing. All right, so let me just text Daniel. Okay, cool. So thanks so much for Kirby. Thanks so much for joining us too. Really appreciate you. All right, let's go ahead and bring Daniel on. Hey, Daniel, how's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing? Oh, what is up with my voice? I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So for those of you that don't remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Daniel was
Yeah.
on, and we had a really, really great conversation. I loved it so much, and I was like, you know what, we need to do this a lot more. And so,
hmm
Daniel, you were actually texting me a little bit, talking about some of the things you wanted to talk about with hotels, because well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with hotels.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you wanted to tackle?
Oh my goodness. Let's go through the messages real quick. I
Yeah, sorry.
think I think if it comes to like one of the main topics that always goes on my mind when it comes to hotels or anything like that. It's kind of what's the breakdown of like how do hotels like how do you benefit from hotels? Um,
Hmm.
at what point do you use points versus at what point do you use cash, if that makes sense?
Right.
That's always been something that's weighing heavily on my heart and on my mind. Um, do you
Yeah.
specifically, like, pay cash so that you can accumulate hotel points for, like, what you would consider an aspirational, type of a thing? Or is that mainly, like, for flights where hotels, it's like, if you got points, just use them, who cares type of a deal, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, um, so I will say, I think a lot of going back to some of the hotel stays that we've done, if you're
Mhm,
thinking about weighing for paying cash, obviously we've decided to pay in cash with hotels like where my wife and I, she had to go on a work trip to Pennsylvania. And so I ended up
mhm,
going with her. And the original plan before we ended up actually walking out of that property was to pay in cash at a local Hampton Inn. And that was because, well, first of all, if you pay with the Aspire card, you're earning a grand total of 34 Hilton points per dollar. And,
yeah,
we were staying there for probably 3 or 4 nights. And so it was a
mhm,
decent chunk of change. It would have been really great, especially the fact that my wife and I are kind of trying to hoard our points, for first of all, our Puerto Rico redemption, which we just recently made. And then we're also planning on doing another redemption next November in
mhm,
Scotland. And so a lot of the target properties that we're targeting are going to be Hiltons. And so building up that Hilton points probably is kind of a good thing in my mind. But I did hear someone, I think it might have been the frequent miler, they were talking about, is earning points enough to get you to actually
mm,
pay cash for a hotel. And so,
yeah,
like, because obviously you can buy Hilton points pretty easily. And the fact that you can buy them pretty easily for half a cent a point, and then with the fifth night free benefit, you can really
mhm,
kind of just kind of work completely on that, just prepay in advance for your points and then still save a
yeah.
lot of money. So that was an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely weighed those options. Like Marriott's had a bunch of promotions where they had a thing where if you book a stay, you can actually purchase the same amount of points or something like that, but you get a
Wow.
40% bonus on top of that. So a lot of my stays where I get like 40,000 points, 50,000 points are like, yeah, you could repurchase those and we'll give you like 40% off. And
That's
it came out
amazing.
to like less than a cent per point or less. It was like very, very like affordable, well priced. But even then I was still questioning myself, like, do I still spend like $400 or $500 on this? Or do I just like book, you know, an actual stay for $400 or $500 and then get a
Yeah,
similar amount of points, you know? So that's
that's
kind of
that's
like
really
one of the
true.
questions I've always had.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Like, because and to the vein too, I think a lot of places that I've seen, like especially with Marriott, I think I've seen where they're like, if you book a certain room rate, you get like an extra 2,000 points per night or something like that. Or it's
Yeah,
like, is that always worth considering? And I think
yeah,
for those, it's always been if it's a work trip, yeah, let
yeah.
work pay a little bit more and me get more
Hmm,
points.
hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Most people don't have jobs like that.
Dude, I mean, I can go very deep into that game right now.
Sure. Yeah.
My player two, my girlfriend travels for work. The
Nice.
screenshots that I actually shared with you earlier was not even my travel. So to put it
Oh,
out to
nice.
everybody watching, we are a Marriott family.
Sorry
What
about
we'll
that.
probably talk about a little bit later is kind of like the different types of rooms and like small, medium, large brands and things like that. But before we were kind of just doing something where we were going to the lowest bidder. We were essentially using Rakuten as kind of like the main driver for points. And it was kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
using the platinum card for airlines, where there was no loyalty. It was all just about maximizing value, maximizing points, and spending as little money as possible.
Right.
And then we found out that my girlfriend's work pays for all of her travel. So they pay for her hotels, they pay for her airfare, they pay for all her food. And that's
That's
where we
amazing.
decided to just go all in and select one brand. So to your point, I think that's kind of where if you're under circumstances where you travel like very frequently and you can as we'll probably go through later, like you can stay at a hotel for 50 nights in a year. You can stay at a hotel for 90 nights in a year. I think that's where it's truly worth it. But as we continue talking about like benefits and what value that actually brings, I think that's a big differentiating factor to where people are in their life. Because I've probably stayed at a hotel like maybe 2 nights this whole
Yeah,
year. Um,
it's hard to earn status
but
that way.
my yeah, but my girlfriend has probably spent like the last like 2.5 months in a hotel, and on top of the
Wow.
Marriott promotion where they give you a bonus night. So if you spend 1 night, they give you 2 nights. So with that alone, we're at 97 nights for Marriott, but
Wow.
there's no way
That's
we're gonna hit
amazing.
the 25,000 or 23,000 spend because we just, we just
Right.
it's all because of the
Yeah.
bonus. So
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. So, how do you like being a Marriott family?
man, I've always well, we could definitely talk about this a little bit more too, but I think that truly when you get higher up the food chain or up the status chain, you really start getting benefits that may or may not be worthwhile. Marriott
Okay.
Gold has always been something where like I've always wanted it. We kind of just get it naturally for having the platinum
Right.
card, but all my research are kind of like, yeah, it's still kind of minor leagues, like it's very hit or miss, things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's like this for all brands and all chains of hotels. But once we got platinum status, you can actually tell the difference between like how they even welcome you in the hotel,
Oh, yeah.
how they message you back. They all have like their scripted automated messages, but sometimes you'll kind of
Yeah.
have like that one person that goes a little bit above and beyond and just does essentially like whatever you want for them or whatever you want them to do for you.
Right.
Um, so I mean, being Marriott, I haven't necessarily been part of anything else, so I haven't really been at Hilton, I haven't really been to Hyatt, but I would say just having some form of loyalty or some form of, brand identity, if you will, it's definitely a good feeling, where you can
Yeah.
kind of select, like, your main squeeze, if you will, and you have the ability to go to any Marriott property or any Hilton property, like, it's kinda like your favorite football team or your favorite soccer team or basketball team where you love them to
Yeah.
death. Sometimes they suck, sometimes they lose, but it's like you're just a diehard fan. And
Right.
it's a very nice feeling to have like that sense of, belonging to Marriott. And I think based off of all the perks, once now that we're at Titanium, all these upgrades, all this like guaranteed checkout of 4 p.m. Like there's times where our
Mhm.
room was ready at 9 a.m.,
That is
so
nice.
it's definitely like a better feeling, but not specifically like saying Marriott is better than anything else, of course, but it's just a very nice feeling to
Yeah.
be able to pick a team and then stick to that team, and you actually see some benefits, so,
Awesome. Yeah, I love
yeah.
that perspective. Yeah. Honestly, it is kind of like funny how kind of tribal this can almost seem like, my team's doing
Yeah.
better right now,
Mhm.
we are kind of predominantly a Hilton family right now. And that's just because,
Mhm.
well, we have better status with Hilton and it seems to go the most kind of further there. We do have, like you said, Marriott Gold status, and that's through having my Ritz Carlton card and the Platinum card for that
Ooh.
matter. But
Oh.
to your point, it really doesn't seem to give you that much more. And it is weird. So my wife and I, we stayed at let's see, it was a hotel in a suburb north of Atlanta, just north of Atlanta.
Mhm.
A lot of business travelers from that area. And when I went down to the breakfast, they kind of assumed that I had platinum status because they're like, "Oh yeah, you're here for the platinum breakfast." Like, no, I got to fess up. I'm one of the poors, and so I did have to
Yeah.
pay for it. But but
One of the
it was
pores.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had my wife and I, we actually it's weird when I take a look at the number of stays. We've actually stayed at Marriott properties a little bit more because the AC Hotel brand is actually quickly becoming one of our favorites because they're
Mhm.
usually kind of newer hotels, but they have like that luxury vinyl flooring, which my wife prefers over carpet, just because
Mm.
carpet it just no one's actually cleaning the carpet right in between rooms, and so everyone just kind of assumes it's pretty gross. My wife actually has traveling slippers for this reason because she never likes actually touching the carpet, and so that was really nice. But the point values have been really good too. I think there was one, the one in Louisville that we spent, I think it was 18,000 points a night. And it was about, I think it was like $250 was the room rate for that, with the night that we
Mhm.
stayed. And then we also stayed at one in Atlanta, and that was very similar as well. I think we did 2 or 3 nights for like, it was like maybe like 45, 50,000 points or something like that. So,
Yeah.
it was a good experience for us. But yeah, that's more kind of definitely towards the lower end. I feel like we still kind of reserve the higher end for our Hilton stays, because then, that's when I feel like having good status kind of means the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think it's just point values in general, like, when you think of, like, the different, the different types of hotels, or like the different tiers of hotels. I think that also plays like a huge role, when you
Yeah.
have like differing hotel brands. So like Hyatt has, their categories. Hilton and Marriott have their own versions of categories, and then each one of them have their own point systems and totals. Where I think Hyatt kind of has the best right now, because it's not necessarily, I don't think it's dynamic. I think it's just based off of categories, so you can
Yeah.
really score some good redemptions.
You definitely
I
can.
think half of the people watching this, and you and I don't know if you booked that one Charleston hotel just like I did and everybody else did, but I
Yeah.
mean,
I
seven hundred
haven't booked
dollar a
it
night
yet.
hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like that's one of the great things that people like about Hyatt, because first of all, it's easy to depend on with points. Like right now,
Mhm.
I know whether or not I have enough Hilton or Hyatt points to make that booking, right? If I'm staying
Yeah.
at 3 nights, it's 20,000 points a night. That's 60,000 points. We got it, right? It's easy to
Yeah.
know. Hilton is, they like to play some games, right? So they could
Mhm.
be, it's, 75,000 points per night, or it could be starting at 75,000 points per night, where maybe
Mhm.
that Monday night is 75,000 points, but that Tuesday night is 85, and that Thursday night is 110,000 points or something like that. It's just, it's a little more dynamic, which is kind of the frustrating thing about Hilton. One of the frustrating things about
Yeah.
Hilton. And so yeah, no, Hyatt is definitely really, really solid for that. And it is still kind of exploitable, which is great because we love to break things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the trip for me is paid for completely by Rakuten.
Right.
We literally got the cash out for all the 50,000, 60,000 points, and then we
Nice.
announced that the meetup's gonna be in over there, and I'm like, "Cool," I was gonna use these points for hotels in Japan, but,
There you go.
Japan's a very long time away, so let's just do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That
No,
and
I'm
the
glad you're going.
hotels. Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. It's gonna be the first one. I already got the time off approved. People at
Nice.
work
That's
think I'm
amazing.
like borderline crazy because like I actually request time off like almost a year in advance. Because we know that you have to book flights almost a year in advance if you want to get the
Right.
J seats, the if you want to put your cheeks in first class seats, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Um, so requested the time off. I actually booked the flights and I got the hotel before I even requested the time off, like before it was approved. So I'm
Nice.
just like praying. I'm like, oh my God, please, if there's the Lord, universe, help
Yeah,
me. But yeah.
exactly. Yeah. That is one of the things I do like about booking airfare with points, though, because I feel like just throwing the points that way is,
Mhm.
it's fine for me, because a lot of the time, most of the time, even if you book a fare that's non-refundable, you get those points back. At least maybe you may not get the $5.60 or whatever it is,
Mhm.
but most of the time you'll be able to get those points back. And so, if it is kind of a booking that we're really not sure about, but I did find a good points deal flight wise, I will make that
Mhm.
booking, just because it's good to have it. And then if I have to change my plans, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, that's solid. But especially if you're looking, because you're looking to cross the continent basically, and so you being in first class is really important for that sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. I don't mind flying basic economy Betty or Becky, but there's sometimes where like you have an overnight flight and I'm just like, I need to my six
No.
foot one frame needs to stretch.
Yes.
Um
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier as we were kind of talking before this or leading up to this that um, you wanted to talk a little bit about like how hotels uh, like the box with a bed. That was like a
Oh
reference
yeah,
that you mentioned that I was like very, very interested in. I feel like that's something that I personally used to do that I no longer
right.
do, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about like what you meant about that and like
Yeah,
what that
sure.
means for the hotels.
Yeah, so I was actually it's funny because I was talking about this with Luke as well a little bit, and he kind of has a similar kind of way to look at it, and that's if I'm traveling by myself, I really kind of struggle internally with like using a lot of points on that trip, right? So
Mhm.
I went to go see Anthony Venture last weekend, and we did a live stream on location actually at Daniel Sparks's set. It was actually really
Yeah.
nice. Um, and for that trip, I stayed at a Hyatt Place for 5,000 points because I'm like, I don't need to have like, a nice little concierge desk or, because all I'm doing is just I'm going, like hanging out a little bit and then coming back. And so for that particular trip, all I literally wanted was a box with the bed. And so, it Hyatt Place checked most of those boxes pretty well.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it was funny though, because I love making fun of Hampton Inn for those the cheese whiz frozen omelets. I don't know. Have you ever seen those?
No,
Maybe,
but I
maybe. Okay, yeah,
promise that my girlfriend has probably had those because she stayed at Hampton Inns,
yeah.
quite often for work.
Oh yeah. So it's like a little egg patty, and they put cheese whiz in the middle of it, fold it together, and call it an omelet. And it's like, oh, they have cheese omelets today. Anyway, so the Hyatt Place actually had those, but they cut them in half to make them last longer. So
Bruh.
that was, yeah, seriously. And then they did have a waffle station that was just Eggos that had been heated up about an hour and a half prior. So
Mhm.
that was the breakfast was less than desired, which was like I wasn't looking for a place with good breakfast because again I'm just
Yeah.
here by myself. Jen's doing on work stuff, so I don't
Mhm.
really need to have a good time essentially because I'm just
Mhm.
it's very utilitarian for me.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, do you have any stays like that?
It I think I did, um, but it was kind of like double-edged, if you will. When my girlfriend was traveling for work, she was working in Santa Barbara. She was staying in Santa Barbara for like almost 3 weeks, so 21 days worth of stays.
Wow.
And I think for her, since work was paying for everything, it we just picked the hotel that kind of had the best not like within the price point, if that makes sense. There
Right.
was one hotel that she like really, really, really liked and gravitated towards, but that hotel, it was a tribute. It was from the Tribute portfolio in Marriott. They
Oh,
don't
okay.
allow you. They don't allow you to stay that long because that hotel chain, that brand, it's not designed for like the long stays. So
Oh,
we
wow.
actually
Okay.
had to cut her trip like in half, where that hotel allowed her to stay for 8 days out of the 21. And then we
Okay.
moved to a residence inn, which allows for like much longer stays. So she stayed the rest of the trip there. Um, the the things that I liked about both places, the amenities wise, I actually like the residence inn more, even though it's like a lower tier
Yeah.
brand. And I think everybody is different, but I think the most important thing for me, regardless of where I go, is do I get free breakfast? Like
Yeah.
free breakfast is probably the most underrated yet needed thing where
Agree.
it
Definitely
started at
agree.
like 7 in the morning and then it ended at 10:30 in the morning. So what I would do is I would essentially wake up at 7, go eat breakfast, then go to
Yeah.
the gym, come back at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and then I would go back for seconds.
There you
So it's
go.
like
Yeah.
I would have like one type of breakfast where it's like carbs, whatever, just fuel, and then I would come
Right.
back, and then that's when I would load up on the cheese whiz omelets. They had their own version of it. I think they had like quiche,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
that's
yeah,
with
there
like
you
all
go.
the
Okay.
protein and everything, some cereal, chocolate milk, chobani. Thank you very much. But I would say that would probably be like that's where I'm at. Where for her, she just needed somewhere that she could stay long term.
Right.
Both her and I, like she was working, so I think the box in the bed strategy is like super huge. I think it depends on like what your goal for travel is, and I think this is
Right.
probably like a good question where like we can ask the community, like they can have their own input, you can have your input, but like let's say you're
Absolutely.
traveling, like let's say you're traveling and you're in Japan or you're in Paris, like I'm going to Paris, I'm going to London. Is the box in the bed the strategy. Like,
Hmm.
what do you need when you go and travel abroad when realistically, I'm probably not gonna be in the hotel, period. Like, I'm probably gonna have, like, 20 to
That's true.
40,000 steps per day, you know? But, like, what are the things is the box in the bed the way to go? Is there other, amenities that hotels offer that are kind of, like, non-negotiable or things that you would really love to see,
Yeah.
especially when you're traveling abroad? And does that change when you're here domestic, you know? Is
Right.
is there a
Yeah.
difference? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, let's go ahead and see if the community has responded, and then I can kind of react to that. Let's go
Yeah.
back. So we talked about Kirby. Thanks so much for being here. He's in a Hyatt Breathless Riviera right now, enjoying a jacuzzi stay. So that's really great for Kirby. Mike Newland. So why they rolled out the reserve status at the end of the year for Hilton, and they are including current stays was not right, or they are not including current stays. Yeah, I agree. I think that particular move, it seems like they're kind of disincentivizing continuing to stay with Hilton. It seems like to me.
Mhm.
What was your reaction to that?
Dude, I think they just swagger jacked Marriott, honestly.
Oh yeah,
It's just giving me the vibe of like you have American Express as, the one that kind of creates everything like the Apple, the trailblazer, where like we're gonna do everything first. Um, and their status is their loyalty, their brand is just so robust that
right,
Hilton essentially is like, let's also add the Supreme Deluxe Holy You Know What package and make it
yeah,
very, very similar to Marriott's ambassador status, where it does almost nothing and you have to spend an ungodly amount of money. But for those that
yeah,
travel a bunch, I'm sure it's absolutely worth it. I
yeah,
bet like having your own personal concierge, like your own little Daniel that does whatever you want them to do and books everything. I'm sure that's phenomenal for someone that travels a lot and just does not want to worry about having to book this and book that.
right,
That's actually what I do for my girlfriend. Like when she travels, I'm so addicted to like the points and miles and like looking for flights and looking for hotels that I
right,
actually book everything for her using her card, or in this case, like she's an authorized user for me, so we use our cards. So I can only imagine that was kind of like my reaction where it's very similar to what Marriott's already doing, but it definitely has, like, its
right.
own niche, and I'm sure it comes with its own benefits, but I think the funny thing is, like, after you spend, like I forgot how much it was, but you have to spend so much money, and you have to stay, like,
Yeah.
100 nights or something like that, and then they're like, "We'll give you a 35K free night certificate," and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
You want me to sleep in a car or something?" Like, I was like, "What's
There's that box in
35K
a bed
do?"
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, the box in the bed. That's exactly what it is.
There we go. Yeah, no, that's I think that's the right take on that. I have to say one thing that I was kind of disappointed about. So like with Diamond, with Hilton, we get access to like the Diamond line, right? And so it is kind of like, or has at least been in the past like that, where like I do have to call them specifically to book those free night awards with the Aspire card, but it's really nice. So I actually had to book it. I used that the last time when we went to Paris. We stayed at the Canopy, which is has a nice little view of the Eiffel Tower, and basically, I made the booking through there. I had enough points, and I was like, "We just want to stay at this property specifically for these amount of dates." And they made it happen, and it showed up on my thing. So it was nice. I definitely am someone who likes to do my bookings myself. So like, I don't know if I would have gotten any value of it, but it's nice knowing that there was kind of that set private kind of phone number that was just for
Mhm.
all of us high dollar elites, which it seems like there's a lot of them, but at least it was easy to get in touch with them pretty quickly. So that was nice.
Yeah. I could only imagine it's probably for, like, those big corporations where it's like you just need to
Right.
toss somebody in a room like that box in the bed, and it's like you just don't wanna pay for it, or it's just like, might as well use it, it's a benefit, like how I
Yeah,
just bought an Aura Ring.
exactly.
And
Yeah, the
so
interns, they don't need a nice hotel room. They're just happy to be there.
exactly.
Dim was here. Hopefully Dim's still here. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. Then Mike Newland was saying hi. Good morning. Happy Sunday. And then Jason was here. Hi, guys. Just heading out to early family Thanksgiving. We'll catch the replay. I'm 524, but good with Chase. Aside from Hyatt, hoping to hear about Citi, Wells Fargo, and Choice or IHG, and skipping Hilton / IHG. Interesting. Okay, so this is actually, this can actually kind of go along with this whole idea about, whether or not do we want to pay cash? Do we want to go with the box to the bed situation? Because I feel like if you're okay with, I don't want to say lower tier hotels, but like, the down market of the hotel market, Choice is not
Yeah.
a bad option. And Wyndham's not bad either, especially with Citi cards, because I think Citi, like, they have the most favorable kind of, transfer ratio to there, and they do have some sweet spots. It's not a bad program. It's just it can be antithetical to some people when they're trying to use points.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would say it really depends on, is there an end game, or are we just trying to churn and burn? I
Yeah.
think if you're in the churning phase or the churning strategy, then it kind of doesn't really matter what brand, what card, or anything you get is, because at
Right.
that point you're just going for the welcome offer. And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of like one or two mental thought process that I always go through, where that is, am I in my core setup, where when you look at Citi, Wells Fargo, Choice, IHG, is this part of your end game strategy? Like, how are you going to be using that with Chase, with Hyatt, as kind of like a supplementary hotel brand where you
Oh
can do the
yeah.
box in the bed or anything like that? Or are we just maybe jumping ship and I want to go to Citi or to Wells Fargo, and then those are the partners that they have with them? So I think
Right.
it really depends on, are you trying to accumulate points? Because if you're trying to accumulate points, then I think that definitely tells you which direction you should go in, whether that's, booking
Right.
through Rakuten and getting like 15x on IHG that you could put to build, or anything like that. And I think that will help you determine whether or not you pay cash or you use points. Because if you're trying to accumulate point wealth, then I think you're paying cash for a whole lot of stuff. If
Yeah.
you're trying to be in your core strategy, I think also you're probably paying cash. But I mean, yeah, I think realistically, it depends on what people value out of redemptions. If you just simply
Right.
don't want to pay cash, then I don't think the point total or the point value matters. Cents per point, you could
Hmm.
kind of throw it out the window.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially for those, like, there's people in Anthony's Discord and your Discord where they have like 5 million City points,
Right.
and
Yeah.
there was one person that was like, should I spend like 100K for first class, or should I spend 80K for business class? And I'm like, brother, you got 5 million points. Like, what's
Does it
20K
live a little? Yeah.
points? You know,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
what is the point? So there's that as well. So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of my take on it. Like, that's how I would react to it. That would be the question that I would ask Jason, where it's like, what's your goal? What's your end game? It's
Yeah.
hard for us to just like spell it out for a lot of people, and like,
Sure.
yeah, you should do this, without knowing who they are, what they want to do, or where they want to travel. So
Yeah. I think there was this discussion in Anthony Venture's Discord yesterday, and I participated briefly in it. And it was talking about whether or not Citi. The question posed was, are Citi points easier to get value for most people? And I kind of think it might be, particularly with the 1 to 2 to Choice, and the I Prefer hotel program is really kind of solid. Like, it's
mhm.
definitely smaller. Like, in Orlando, we have fewer I Prefer hotels than we do Hyatt hotels, but the ones that are there are very cheap to book with City points. Like, it's like, once you make that conversion, it ends up to be like 15 to 18,000 City points per night, and we're
Wow.
talking about like $300 to $400 a night rooms at decent hotels, right? And so, like, if you're someone who's just trying to, like, look for a long-term wallet strategy, Citi has the multipliers. Citi has low annual fees if you stay away from the Citi Strata Elite, but even then, it's not
Mhm.
as bad as it could be. And then if you're looking for value, JetBlue at 1 to 1, American Airlines at 1 to 1, and then Choice at 1 to 2, and I Prefer at 1 to 4, or something like that. Like, it's very easy to get value from those Citi points. And so
Yeah.
I think if you are looking for Citi, yeah, just, I mean, go hammer those welcome offers offers on all those Strata points or Strata cards if you can.
Yeah, and then convert all them to custom cash, and then you have
Yeah,
5x multiplier on everything that you could ever hope to purchase. So,
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I completely agree with that, especially with JetBlue 1-to-1, that's wild. Like, Capital One does,
yeah,
like, 10-to-6, I don't even know what
it's
that
stupid.
is.
Yeah,
That's like 4-to-2 or 4-to-3 or something like
right.
that, or 5 it's
I
five to
only
three.
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, I think it is 5-3. I've only transferred from Capital One once, and that was because the first day they dropped it, they had a special 1 day only bonus where
Mhm,
if you made
mhm.
any sort of conversion, I think you got 5,000 JetBlue points. So I converted the
Yep,
lowest possible amount, which was I think it was 1,000 Capital One points or something.
yeah,
And like I was like, yeah, but I'm not doing it again. Like that's even American Express. I've done from American Express, but it's not as favorable. I think it's
yeah,
like maybe 3-2 or something like, or no, it's 250 American Express points to 200 JetBlue miles, which is
mhm,
crazy. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 1-to-1 JetBlue for Citi, that's amazing. And for instance, I have to say, uh, Chase is also 1-to-1 for JetBlue too. I don't
mhm,
want anybody
mhm.
to get mad at me. Juan Garcia, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. You are awesome. Sleepy Rod. Sorry, I'm in the same in being frugal with points. I don't fly business class. The idea of using up all of my hard-earned points on one flight hurts me. That's actually a
Yeah,
really intriguing way to look at it. I don't think
yeah.
I actually have thought about it that way.
Dude, that's
Um,
how I live my life.
yeah. Okay.
Like,
So walk me through that.
there's people that have been in the game for such a long time, like the people in Anthony's Discord. The stuff
Right.
that they do, the amount of points that they have, it's absolutely ridiculous, in a good way. So
Yeah.
kudos to
No.
all of
Yeah.
y'all. Like, the
100%.
work that
Everyone's
they
awesome.
do is, it's like really amazing stuff. And for me, like, for example, when we got that 80,000 point bonus from American Airlines to spend 1,000, I'm essentially saving it for like maybe some economy flights to Michigan. I'm saving
Right.
it for economy flights to something here because for people like myself, where my spend is not like wild, like I don't own businesses, I don't have like that churn mentality where
Right.
I can't just like drop X amount of dollars per month. Um, I would find it almost heartbreaking, and I've had this discussion with Player 2, with my girlfriend, of, like, do I spend 1 first class or business class round trip flight, or do I get 4 round trip economy flights? I think it
That's
depends
a good way to look
on
at it. Yeah.
I think it truly depends on, like, what people value, because for in our family, we value the hotel stay as part of something that we would invest more in. So we would pay points or more points for like a floating palace in Bora Bora, for example, and
Okay.
we would spend like 700,000 points, 800,000 points. The redemption would be absolutely wild because if you think about it, it's like $3,000 a night. So I'd happily pay, 700K
Right.
points for that. But then to get
Absolutely.
there, we would just fly like United Economy, because if we do first class or even premium economy, it's going to be like almost 200,000 points round trip. And that is just so painful, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
but
Yeah.
but I think it's definitely like give and take. I think truly, if like the redemption, if the value is there. So you were talking about how you went to Europe and you flew premium economy, you flew business class through Virgin Atlantic. I'm doing
Mhm.
the same thing. So 40,000 points per person for business class.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
You
You got to
know,
do that. Yeah.
there's stuff like that where it's like you absolutely have to do it, like business class or first class to Hawaii for 40,000 points. You kind
Yeah.
of like have to do it, you know? But
Right.
if it's like 100,000 points, 70,000 points, and then you're using like, I believe there should be like a mental threshold for people where it's like, if I'm using more than 50% of my points in one swing, that's where I'm
Mm,
already just like considering like, okay, maybe I should just do economy. Maybe I should do premium economy.
I
Um,
gotcha.
because people, it's hard to build those points back up. So I think people just really get frugal with like, I'm just gonna save it forever. And I think um, there was one Daniel Braun video like way back in the day, which counters this, where it's like people transfer their points and they hold on to them forever. And then that's where
Right.
people actually, that's where you lose value for those points,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
the longer you hold on to them, the more they devalue, you know? So
Right.
that's probably like one of the things where I'm slowly starting to try and lean the other way. So for Sleepy Rod here, if you have points, use it. You're going to get more points. If you want to fly first class, and I would say just fly first class.
Yeah.
Um, because the more points you get, you'll be able to get economy class seats. You'll be able to get all of that. You'll get a lot of new cards, so you can kind of like get your points back. But yeah, I think just hoarding points is just like that TV show Hoarders. It's just like a mess. And then you kind of just like don't
Yeah.
know where anything is. You don't know what to do. So I
Yeah.
identify with both of those like very intensely.
I agree. So it's I will say the kind of a caveat to that. So from all perspectives, it looks like I'm hoarding points right. So right now we're at nearly 600,000 MR points, 200,000 Atmos points, 100,000 Delta, 100,000 AA, and
Mhm.
well, we actually have 12,000 Hilton points because we recently cleared out. And the reason why we're doing that is because actually this week we're going to be booking all of the flights and hotels for our trip next year to Scotland. And so, we have a lot of stuff, but because I want to be able to have as much kind of ability to kind of make things happen as possible. So yeah, so you can definitely kind of amass points, but if you're just if you don't really have a plan for them or even think thoughts of a plan, maybe come
Yeah.
up with a plan. Use those points. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. And I love too that point that you made about like if thinking about that first class seat in terms of hotel stays, right? So if
Mhm.
let's say I flew on, if I sent 90,000 points to Cathay Pacific, booked that British Airways first class ticket, that's 90,000 Amex points.
Mhm.
Or it could be 180,000 Hilton points, right? So that could
Mhm.
be at least enough for 2 nights, maybe at a pretty good hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, you are giving up something for doing that. That's definitely an important point to make. So
Mhm.
thanks for making it.
Yeah. Whatever's most important for people's travels.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Kirby. I currently have IHG Platinum, and that's my work/small trip stays. But for the big trips, I go to Hyatt and have no status. Wish I could became globalist. So everyone send your guest of honor certificates to Kirby G at Points and Miles. It was actually funny. So I met Brady at the creator meetup, and he actually ended up gifting me a globalist or a guest of honor pass that I used at my Hyatt Place stay, just because he
Mhm.
needed to get it used by the end of the year, and he didn't know anybody else that was staying at Hyatt. Which globalist does not get you anything at Hyatt Place, so don't use it there. But
Nope.
don't be a Philip. um, All right. We have Adrienne. When I was traveling for work and school, those eggs were amazing after 16 to 18-hour days. Yeah, I will definitely say so. My perspective of staying in hotels. So the first time I went to DC it was some special, like my professor at UVA sponsored me for this little trip to a think tank in Washington, DC. They put us up double occupancy at the Holiday Inn on Rhode Island Avenue. And it was a Holiday Inn in like not the best part of DC, but a decent part of DC. And, to me at that point in my life, that was like I had arrived. Somebody else is paying for me to go on a trip. It
Yeah.
felt amazing, right? Like I totally get that. Like, and I don't think any of us are trying to say, it's not amazing. It's just, we have standards now, and we have adult money.
Yep. Exactly. Sometimes work pays for it, sometimes work doesn't, and that's where you need to be on the frugal side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Kirby, I did 51 days at the same Holiday Inn/Hampton Inn in Danville, Kentucky. The breakfast was amazing for what it was. I wish I could have stacked all those days at one property, but too busy. Okay. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard
Was
that the
that like
Holiday Inns
51
actually have decent
consecutive
breakfast.
days or
Oh yeah, that maybe was it all
was
total in
50,
the
did you just
year?
stay at one Holiday Inn for 51 days in a row, or was that like for the entire year, like, splitting it, like where you can go home for a little bit? Or I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear how that how that trip
Right.
was.
Did you
Yeah.
start taking mail at the front desk?
Oh yeah. Change
Okay,
address.
so Kirby says specifically for work. Awesome.
Okay.
Let's see. Yankee Man 311 Asia hotels. Asia travel. The hotels are so cheap. I pay most of those in cash and save points for US and Europe. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's a great perspective. So I think, yeah, my wife and I, we kind of did that because when we went to London, we paid cash trip for staying at the Conrad because, well, first of all, they really have very limited availability for points. If you want to do points, you have to stay like at the Waldorf, which is down the road. But at the Conrad, so we ended up actually paying cash just because we wanted to stay at that particular property. But then we did points other places. But yeah, no, that's a great great thing. All right. So let's see here. Dim, let's see here. Hello, Chad. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So Chad's Money Minutes is here. Thanks so much for being here. Saying if you're keeping points for more than a year, you're asking for trouble. Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, turn and burn is really helpful with points. I will say, just as kind of an aside to that, like I get it generally speaking, yeah, but like if you know, like if I know in like a year and a half I'm going to be doing something pretty wild, like I'm okay with stockpiling some of those points, but especially in
Yeah.
a transferable currency, like if I'm doing American Express points or Chase points or something like that, I feel like I'd be more kind of a little bit okay with that. But yeah, no, that's amazing. I use points to go to the moon if they let me.
Dude, I mean,
we
you
we need to be
can
able
just pay yourself back.
to, yeah, yeah, just put it all on your aeroplane card, pay yourself back. You know,
Yep.
we need to do transfer to SpaceX. That would be
Yeah, bro. Eventually.
all right, LOL. So Dim, Chad, what if you're fully booked for 2026 and gearing up for 2027? Starting 27 bookings
Mm.
next fall. Wow.
I
Dim
mean,
is doing
that's
the
not
travel.
yeah. Yeah, that's not holding on to your points. That's not hoarding points. Um,
Yeah.
that's the situation that I'm in right now where I essentially have London, Paris, Belgium, Brussels in February next year. And then in May of next year, I'm going to Hawaii. And then in October of next year, I'm already like booking flights to Vietnam. So
Oh yeah.
I'm also in 2027 where I'm gonna be going to Japan April 2027, and then I'm already
Nice.
thinking of what happens later in 2027. That's where we go to Bora Bora. So I
Yeah.
think there's gonna be people that have plans and game plans like that, where you have enough points to where you are actually too far out in advance to book, right? Because,
You're right.
there's some
Yeah.
hotel brands where you could only do 13 months in advance. There's some hotels where
Right.
you could do 10, 11, 12. Flights are 355, right? So you're going to have leftover points. You're going to have ideas. You're going to have aspirations to go somewhere, but you
Yep.
physically can't book it yet, whether that's a hotel or whether that's a flight. And I think that's why like the important thing that we're talking about is having a game plan. You're not
Yeah.
just getting random cards where you have currencies into like 50 different ecosystems and you kind of just don't know what to do in any of them.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's where like the box in the bed strategy, like the higher tier hotels, like the free night certificates, like it's all part of a game plan. And I think what we're talking about is like what's the strategy for that? What would we prefer to
Right.
do for things like that? So that way like you don't have all your eggs in one basket, but at least you're in the same hen house. You're not in
Right.
like different areas. So
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I feel like most of the time, whenever I hear from someone, when someone finds out that I do YouTube, they're like, I have all these points and I don't know what to do with them. And I feel like, yeah, like having that kind of perspective of like, I want to go here. How can I make that happen is
mhm,
important, right? Because that's the first
mhm.
step to actually figuring out what to do with those points, right? Now, I will say, so I'm just going to take a break here. If I'm describing you, if you're watching and you're not really sure what to do with those points, I do offer credit card consultations, and that can include travel things. That's available in the link in the description below. There, just go to my website. You can sign up for my newsletter, and then also sign up for one of those consultations, and we can kind of figure out a game plan for you. But now that that's out of the way, let's get back into the video because I'm sure Daniels was very bored while I was doing that little bit of kind of self-promotion, but yeah. But also while we're on there, in a different browser, go to YouTube, look up Card Smarter, and make sure you subscribe to him as well because he is he's brilliant. He's honestly can be smarter about this whole thing than me in some things. He's teaching me some things in each one of these. That's why we're doing it. So make sure you go subscribe to him, but also come right back because I need those view hours. So
yeah, please come back.
Sleepy Rod, Waller's Wallet. I would rather travel more than travel a fewer times in luxury. That's my usual approach. Okay, so traveling more better than traveling in luxury. So I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. I'm big. I go a little bit more horizontally than most people. And I need my wide seats. So economy, especially for economy. Honestly, my wife and I, we flew on Southwest to Puerto Rico, and from Orlando, it's not that long of a flight. It's like I think just under 3 hours. But that was about my limit in economy because come on, man.
Yeah,
because at that point, you're in the aisle seat, you're kind of leaning out, and then you can't fall asleep because then that's when they take you with the cart and knock you out.
Yeah.
And I need the bigger seats.
I think something that we can talk about after we go through these is like status matching for hotels. Like, I'm not very well versed on Hilton or Hyatt, but obviously Marriott, me being titanium, comes with a lot of really cool benefits. United Silver is one of those benefits, and I think that plays a very important role into how I travel. So we could talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, actually, that's amazing. Let's get through some of these, and then we'll get into that, and then we'll start wrapping up because I knew that both of us have hard stop times. That's a little bit in advance of when we normally go. Dim, I've been leaning more into preferred hotels. 7,500 thank you points or 30,000 preferred points per night is a game changer. 2 to 5 to 4 cents per point easy. It's an amazing program, honestly. Even if you don't get anything like perk wise at the hotel, just that you're getting 3 to 4 cents per point on points that you're earning very easily because you're earning them on your Citi Strata Premier at dining, going out to eat, traveling. Every time you have to pay a toll, park your car, you're earning those points, and you're getting 3 to 4 cents per point on those hotels. And it's very easy to do. You don't have to, because I prefer still technically on a award chart. So you don't have to try to find a Monday night in the middle of February. You can actually stay at a place that you want to stay at a time when you want to stay there and still get decent value, which is kind of huge.
Yep. It goes into like do you want to pay cash or do you want to pay points?
Right.
So
100%.
if the cent per point is even that's another reason. So if you're getting 2.5 to 4 cents per point, I almost feel like it's criminal to pay cash at that point,
That's true. Yeah. What are you doing? Because there are some business class flights that you don't get that much. And so, that's you're dominating the game there at that point. Boxer, what's up, everyone? Just checking in. Thanks so much for being here, Boxer. Really appreciate you. One of the longest standing supporters of the channel, honestly. Official Chad's Money Minutes. If you're fully booked for 26, I'm all for doing placeholder bookings toward the end of the year and reclaiming. Okay. All right. So it just sounds like Chad is happier with having the points utilized and maybe getting them refunded than actually just having them sit. That's an interesting strategy. Yeah, I get that. CP Rod, I feel you 100%, but I came up poor and I'm trying to rub out elbows with the 1%. Yeah, honestly, some of the best. I've learned so much. So I used to bartend at the Capitol Hill Club in Washington D.C. And some of the things I learned a lot about the world through this one guy. He had he had a company that owned strip malls across the country. And this is the stuff that I learned talking to that person was just insane and just really valuable. And so, if Chad's 20 minutes, there's definitely something for being in the room. That's huge. I just cleared the 300 stuff for my Biz Platinum, and with my other points, I'm about to do some damage. I'm dipping my wife points too. Yeah, that is a solid
actually going to the moon. Actually going
to the moon. Yeah. That's
Blue
amazing.
Origin. Transfer your points to Amazon.
Yeah, the $20,000 you have to spend to do that in 3 months is kind of difficult to do, but if you got it, that is worth it, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Dim, Zanzibar and Tanzania in 27 is a big trip, along with a few other international trips. Singapore and Indonesia next year, along with 5 other international trips. Wow, Dim, you are living the life. I really want to go to Africa. I want to do something where I get started in Egypt and kind of work my way south. But no, that would be an amazing trip.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, I will never go to Africa. I will never go to Australia. There is just too much stuff there that can kill you.
That's true.
I'm not
I mean,
about
I'm
to
in
get
Orlando,
bitten
so
by
we
a
got that anyway.
spider. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go to New Zealand. I'll go to New Zealand. New Zealand's cool.
Okay.
But
New
like
Zealand is cool.
I'm not trying to get ran over by a rhino or like mauled by a kangaroo or something. Like
Yeah.
funnel web spiders. Are you kidding me? Hell
Oh,
no.
those things are
Like
dangerous. Yeah. Yeah,
but
no,
y'all
I
have
get
fun.
that.
Y'all have fun.
Honestly, I was watching R Squared the other day, and he was doing a review of Ethiopia Airlines, and they seem to have a little bit less than it's no Etihad, so we'll
Yeah.
just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zanzibar. Oh man, I'm impressed. Yeah, no, I want to go. Like, let's go, Dim. We'll do the next creator meetup there instead. We're
Yeah.
hosting it in
And it's
Zanzibar,
like Hunger Games. Just like who survives, honestly. Like
right? Chad wants to go to Africa too. All right. Okay, yeah. So he went to Egypt. I really want to go to that one. I think it's a Marriott property, and they have balconies that overlook the pyramids, and that just seems to me like that would be worthwhile doing. So
yeah. I would stay at if Hilton just bought one of the pyramids, I'd stay there.
there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, honestly, that would they would clean up. My wife is coming down on me about doing a video on the footage from Egypt. She says that the lives aren't enough. Yeah, I really want to get into those travel videos too. He did a really good one about someplace that he went in the Middle East. I forgot exactly what it was, and it was really just captivating. It was cool stuff. All right, Kirby. I did 2 weeks at a hotel, then 2 weeks at home for 6 months. Okay, so too long.
Answering the question. There we go.
Yep.
It wasn't 51 straight days. That's good.
Yeah, that's amazing. Alex Daly just upgraded the Hilton Surpass. That's awesome. That's one of my favorite cards that I don't actually own. And the reason why is because I actually just recently got this card that I'm still working on the sign up bonus for. And then I'm going to upgrade that to the Surpass, then hopefully to the Aspire. Do you have any of the Hilton cards? I guess not, since you're Marriott.
Um, yeah, I mean, no, I don't, but I have a feeling that I probably will within like the next 2 years, but it also depends on like what the landscape or what the market for
Right.
hotels are in a couple of years. Um,
Yeah, 2 years is
w-
a long
w-
time, honestly, in credit cards.
yeah, we're very intentional with Marriott. I mean, the reason why we decided to go with Marriott was because we wanted to be on a floating palace, as I like to call it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we want to be in a Bora Bora suntan, just
Nice.
on one of those little bungalows, floating
There
palace.
you go.
So essentially, everything that we're doing hotel wise, like we're paying cash, so that we can get points for Bora
Smart.
Bora. So yeah,
Okay. See, I love that. I love it about having that kind of a goal, and that's a great
yeah,
goal. I hope that I'm able to say by the time I die that I have stayed at an overwater bungalow somewhere.
yeah,
That would be amazing.
yeah.
Dem says Egypt is definitely on the list. Yeah, love it.
Same.
Let's see. Chad, I love the state of Florida. I paid the property taxes from some family there and cleared that state sub in 3 weeks. Yeah. They're actually trying to get away with property taxes, like completely do away. Would
Mm,
be interesting. I don't know how far
gotta
that's
move
going to
there.
go. But yeah. Chad is definitely the same, agrees with you. No, Australia. I actually have
No way.
a coworker at my day job who just got back from Australia. He was there for a week, and he survived. So that's
Yeah. Shout out. He's alive.
yeah. You won't catch me in Satan's pet store. I love
Nope.
that. Mr, don't sleep on Tunisia. I was there a couple months for work. It's more European than anything else. So much safer there than where I live in the States. Interesting. Okay. I don't know about like which countries are safer than others in Africa, but I've definitely heard a lot of people talk about Tunisia. It seems like it would be worth
Mm,
the trip. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go to my wife. I'm like, well, babe, the internet says I got to go to Tunisia, so let's go.
yep.
Dem says, Chad, I just paid my taxes here too for a sub, and we know how Palm Beach taxes are. Yeah, I forgot you were in Palm Beach. Yeah, Palm Beach in general is expensive. I took my wife there we're going to go thrifting, and we didn't really see that much, but
Hmm.
we spent a decent chunk of change there. Oh, here's a good question. I guess it's Prodalt. I'm just going to assume that's how that's pronounced. Hey, Philip, how likely is Built to keep the 1x rent multiplier on the new $0 annual fee card? Do you think they move that up to the $95 tier? Wonder what's even going to the point of the $0 tier. So it's interesting. So we actually, I don't think there's anything been published or even rumored about what these cards are actually going to look like. We do have
Yeah.
the survey they sent out last spring, but it's, I would say the smart money is that it won't look like exactly like that. But it did seem to me that everyone's kind of landing on thinking the $95 card is going to be about where the current card is, at least in terms of usability.
Mhm.
I would assume that rent, because their platform is the reason you get the 1x rent. I don't think it's specifically with the card, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I would assume it would stay, but I don't have any internal kind of business understanding.
Yeah, I think all the emails and surveys, every single one had 1x rent on everything, but then the higher you go, like tier wise, then that's where you get like a million points per dollar at CVS or Walgreens or whatever.
Yeah,
But it's also like interesting because they sent out all those surveys before American Express, Chase, Citi unveiled all their, new
that's right.
stuff.
Yeah,
So I'd be surprised if any of that stays the same, especially with Rakuten now with Built.
absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah,
like praying that one of them gives you silver status right away or gold status so that you can just have that one-to-one transfer.
that would
I'd
be
be
amazing.
really, really upset if I'm paying that much money for a Built card, if it does not give me a higher status, I will be pissed.
Yeah, especially if you're using
Yeah,
Rakuten enough and the Rakuten credit card for that matter,
yeah,
it would definitely be worthwhile to pay a certain amount to have access to
yeah,
one-to-one for those transfer partners. So yeah, no, that's
mhm,
that's a great point. I would pay for that.
yeah.
But then I also, I pay for 2 platinum cards, so who cares what I
Same, same.
pay? Chad, the Mena House, that is where I stayed in Egypt. The lives are on my channel. Yeah, absolutely. Go to Chad's Money Minutes, everybody. He's amazing. He's got great travel content. I hope to have travel content as good as him one day. In fact, I'm actually going to start trying to record later today. We're going to go to the Omni for dinner that we're going to,
Nice.
try and do something. John's Credit and Travel. Drop by a second on call this weekend. We'll catch the replay. Thanks so much for being here, John. Appreciate you. John's Credit and Travel is also really good. He has a lot of really
Yeah.
great community conversations. The Platinum wife and I are doing 10 nights at the Westin Bora Bora next year. It was just under 800,000 points. Wow, that's actually not that bad for that property.
Yep.
Killer
That's
deal,
literally
flying
where I'm
visit.
going to.
Nice. That's
That's
amazing.
where I wanna go. That's where I wanna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, so I think there's one that's like the transfer fees are not that bad. And there's one
Mhm,
that it's like you have to get like a private plane to take you, and it's like $10,000 or something stupid. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, no, that's 800,000 points. That's amazing. I may have to do that.
Yeah,
I think they do have some overwater bungalows in the Caribbean as well, but yeah, Bora Bora, that's the credit card dream.
that's
Like
it.
that's the one that
That's it.
Sebi all told us to have 3 or 4 years ago, and why we all do this
Mhm,
now.
mhm.
So yeah, great job. Alex Daly, stay away from Morocco. It is a not good place hole. All right. Thanks so much, Alex. Kirby G's, I want to go to every continent by 30. Antarctic cruise will be my magnum opus. Kirby, honestly, that Antarctic cruise looks good. I read some article, I forgot where it was, where someone like they paid, I think it was like $25,000 a person or something, and they ended up actually not going to Antarctica because they just like the ship forgot to like book their reservation at the pier or whatever. So yeah, or yeah, whatever, however it happened, it didn't happen. So that would be fun, but that it does seem like it has a little bit of risk to it. But it would be great if you
Mhm.
could do that with points and miles.
Yeah.
Let's see. What points did you use for Air Tahiti Platinum Dog? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. What are they partners with? That would be good to know. Brilliant
Yeah,
has the
I've
easy
I've been
$300
looking that
dining
up.
credit. Yeah, the Brilliant card is it's a
Mhm,
brilliant card. It has the $300 dining credit and the lounge access. The icing on the cake is the platinum status with upgrades and free breakfast. Yeah, easily worth the $650 per year.
I have more.
Yeah,
So this is actually the capstone to my entire plan for
nice.
Bora Bora.
Okay,
Because if you can get a welcome offer, I mean, right now the welcome offer is 100,000 points. Based off of research before, 800,000 points is 10 nights, you know? So 5 nights is probably around like 600,000 points. And if you can get 100,000 welcome offer, that's 20% of the
Yeah,
stay. And then the free night award, which is not mentioned here. So the free night certificate of 85,000 points, which you can top off to 100,000 points.
that's
This
right.
card by itself can pay for almost half of your Bora Bora flight or your Bora Bora trip.
That's amazing.
So I'm just really sad that I couldn't get the card when it was at 185,000 points,
Yeah.
because I'm in, we talked about it last time, pop-up jail. But this is one
Yeah.
of the cards where for that free night certificate alone, it could be make it or break it for a lot of travel. So
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you're watching, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. And if you want to know when the next time the Amex Brilliant card has an all-time high sign-up bonus, I will let you know in my newsletter that you can sign up for in the link in the description below. Also, while you're doing things, please make sure that you're subscribing to Card Smarter as well. Daniel is awesome, and he honestly, he just everyone go look at his channel. His stuff is great. All right, now
appreciate
that
it.
that's done, yeah, definitely. The Platinum American Airlines to book air Tahiti. Okay, Alaska was an option, but AA was 60,000 and Alaska was 80,000. Yeah, the AA does have some good stuff booked directly, so every once in a while too. That's a really
Yeah.
great point. The Meta House is an absolute oasis, and they have a Marriott Club on the grounds as well. We were upgraded, and while the rooms aren't sprawling, they're still wonderful. Yeah, that room looked really good, Chad. I was like, man, I wish I could have that. I think it was actually a bit bigger than my first apartment for sure. But
Damn.
yeah, that looked like a great place. All right, so they're just talking about that booking, repositioning flight to LAX for the flight to Tahiti. Okay. Let's see. Bora Bora. So MR. Bora Bora sounds Bora boring. No danger.
No
No,
danger.
thank you. So your nope ropes need to be particularly dangerous. It
Yeah.
sounds like MR. Awesome. Okay. So I think we're caught up now. And I think there was something that you said you wanted to get into. I forgot what it was though. Hopefully you remember.
Status matching.
Oh yeah, status matching. Yeah.
Because I think that has so much to do with like, when you think of hotel stays, when you think of like what they offer, um, that's one of the benefits that you get, and I think that's ultimately why I chose Marriott without even knowing Marriott had this. I've always been like infatuated with United for some reason. I fly out of SFO, so in San Francisco, and
Oh
United
yeah.
has like a massive hub there, even though 90% of the terminal is under construction. But I mean, when you think of an airline that's in your home field and that kind of flies everywhere, I've always been just like something about United that, I really like. And this is something that's just causing me to just rethink and wish I could just turn back time and start with Chase instead of American Express, for the transfer partners. But the fact that once you get to titanium with Marriott, you can status match to United and even Air Canada.
That's
That's
amazing.
borderline goaded because I pay for basic economy flights, like we talked about earlier. And the fact that you don't get a carry-on for basic economy, you don't get you are not able to check a bag. That's one of the things that I've always hated about United, but has always kept me
Right.
away from United. And I've always been like, should I just pay $70 more for, main cabin and I could bring a carry-on and stuff like that. But with silver status, you can buy a basic economy seat and then you get everything because you get your check bag, you get all of that. It's kind of nice. So it's
Yeah,
pretty huge for
that is
me.
amazing. That is huge. Yeah, I love that you can do that. I love that you can
Hmm.
match to that thing. I have really kind of long thought about spending more on my Platinum Select card with American Airlines just to try to goose it towards, a little bit more status. But I don't think it's worth it for me. But I love that you can kind of status match with Marriott because that is really helpful. I think the only
Yeah.
status match that I've been able to do with Hilton has been to national executive status. So you get access to the Emerald Isle, like their mid-tier status, I think, with the Platinum card. But by having the Diamond status with Hilton, I was actually able to get like their top tier status, which actually has helped us quite a bit. The last of
Yeah.
my last two rentals I got were upgraded to a Hyundai Palisade and then a Chevy Traverse with National. And so, those are nice. Those are nice upgrades. And still, like I was just paying for a Corolla, got a Traverse, and so
Yeah.
it was that was nice. But the airline status matches are insane.
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple more questions, and then I think if it's okay with you, I'd like to start wrapping things up in about 10 minutes or so. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
give the all call. Please put in your questions if you have them that we want to talk about, and then we will make sure that we can get to them if time allows. Points to the moon. That is an amazing name. I should have had that name. I need the Hyatt credit card for the double night promo to get Globalist, but I'm 524 and was denied. Any workarounds or hacks using P2 or other strategy? Do you have anything on this?
Damn, bro. 524. Get wrecked. Yeah. I mean, unless there's like a fancy way to like use another person to get status for one person, I don't see that being a possibility. Unless you like just completely jump ship on your status and then just go all in on, P2
Yeah.
status. That's kind of like we're not necessarily doing that here with Marriott. We just kind of combined forces. So instead of, my girlfriend having her card and me having my card, and then we're just trying to finesse the game that way, she's authorized on my cards, and then what we do is we book one room for two people, and then every time I check in, I message them in app, and I'm just like, hey, can you add the name of the second guest so that she could come in, just show them her ID, and then boom, good to go. And then everything is under my loyalty program. So I
Okay.
mean, it depends on and that's worked. We're at 97 nights, not a single problem. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so it depends on kind of like how many nights to the moon already has.
Gotcha.
And like is the promo essentially going to be like what Marriott did for me, where they just stupidly gave me 2 months of like we'll just give you double nights, and then we just booked like 40 nights in those 2 months. Like it was
Yeah.
wild. So if he's just starting and trying to get globalist, then I mean, yeah, just P2, just everything you need as far as status there. Like you could just go all in. But if you need like 4 or 5 or 6 more nights or something like that, and then this bonus is going to get you there, then I mean, it's really tough if you're 524, unless you call like reconsideration and just tell them you'll give them $5 or something. I don't know. But
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, totally. Mike Newland has a really great question here. Is HGV in your earning strategy for Hilton Point? So HGV is Hilton Grand Vacations, which is their, the timeshare situation. So
yeah.
I really I have one of their spam emails saved in my account because they're giving me, it's a Black Friday offer of 100,000 points if you sign up, and just
Yeah.
100,000 Hilton points. Yeah, I will definitely use that,
That's good.
especially given what we're trying to do with those points, right?
Hmm.
The only problem with it is that in order to get those points, you have to, first of all, prepay for a booking, and that's $199. And how long you can stay changes based on your location. So let's say we just do a staycation in Orlando. I think it's like 3 nights or something, which is great. 3 nights for somewhere and for $199, not bad. But you do
Hmm.
have to go through the Hilton Grand Vacation, kind of promotion thing. And if you tell them that you're married or that you have a significant other, then they have to go too. So I'm going to be single if we end up actually doing that, just because I'm going to tell them that, and then I only have to go.
Yeah.
And then after that point, after you say no, then they actually give you the points. And so it's not like I pay the 199 and I get the points. I got to do the thing.
Yeah.
And so it's a good strategy. I'm really I'm considering it. I just don't
Yeah.
know if I can make the timing work for me, specifically because my wife and I are adopting, and that's going to be coming up in January or December. And so like
Nice.
our ability to stay at a place for 3 nights will be severely limited for the first part of the year.
Yeah. I think Marriott does something similar. They have Marriott vacations as well. I
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
getting like I get absolutely blasted like in the app where it's like if you book something like that, they'll give you 20,000 points
Oh, wow.
on top of it. And I'm just like, hey, yo, we're planning a road trip up north, so from San Francisco to Portland, and essentially the best Marriott properties are actually like their Marriott vacation, properties where you just like rent out Oh yeah, Homes and Villas or something like that. So you just rent out that for like a
Oh
night
yeah,
or 2 nights, and
that's
then,
right.
they give you 20,000 on top of all the Marriott points that you get, which is just obscene.
That
So
is.
I mean, it could be pretty lucrative.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Uh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, HEV definitely in my earning strategy. It's definitely an Anthony Ventures earning strategy. He's got I think 2 or 3 of those scheduled for this year. So we'll
Easily.
see. Yeah, he's crazy when it comes to that sort of thing. $37 a night Hyatt place in China makes it affordable to accumulate nights. Okay.
That's
Do you actually
wild.
have to stay at those, or can you just book them and then just ask them to charge it anyway?
Yeah.
Because that might be worth a mattress run.
Yeah, I feel like if they have a way to, like, check in via the app, like with Marriott, I'm sure Hilton has that too. But I'd imagine, like, when you check in and your card gets charged, it kinda doesn't matter if you're there or not, because like, you checked in, and then you can also
Yeah,
check out via the app also.
that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's that would
Alright, so we
be
know what we're
definitely worth
doing.
it. Right? Yeah, globalist status. Yay!
Yeah.
All right, Kirby G. I have an HEV offer for 100K points for Vegas over Valentine's Day. Now I need a pretty female to stay with me in the Trump Hotel for 3 nights. Since I live in SoCal, I am not confident.
You're going to
Go to
Vegas.
Orange County.
You'll
Go
be
to Orange
fine.
County. That's where all the Republicans are, and you can find one. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's hilarious. I didn't realize that the Trump Hotel was part of that. That's incredible.
me either.
Uh, Also, speaking of HGV, they tried to upcharge me an extra 115ish after I paid $249 for the package because I was doing Vegas. Oh, that's not good.
Nah, it's
I
because it
said,
was a
"Oops,
Trump
sorry, no
hotel.
card on me."
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I have heard some scary stories about Vegas with some of those properties where like they make you wait in line for like an ungodly amount of time. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to do that. Does Hyatt have something like that? That's a good question. I don't. I mean, I would assume they probably do, but I don't think I've really heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Where
about it
can you?
either.
Coverage Hyatt does, but don't really offer points except for super special occasions. Normally, it's just cheaper packages. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But the other question here is where can you get Hyatt points? Which obviously you can earn Hyatt points by spending at Hyatt places, or not specifically Hyatt places, but Hyatt hotels.
Yes.
But otherwise, how can you get Hyatt points?
I mean, yeah, Hyatt cards, like what our friend earlier was saying, where you can get like, 20,000 points. If you stay at Hyatt properties, then, they give you some pretty good point values. My personal favorite right now is actually through Rakuten, where you can purchase points. They very frequently Hyatt, I mean, all the hotel brands have like points boost where you can get like
Hmm.
30% more, 40% more, 50% more.
Absolutely.
And then if you pair that with your Rakuten card, you get like 5.5 points per dollar back on top of that. So if you're in the built ecosystem specifically and the Chase ecosystem specifically, then that could be pretty insane. But for me, since I'm like LOL 24, where Chase will not touch me with a 10-foot pole,
Yep.
I
Same.
won't be, sadly, I won't be having any United cards. I won't have any Hyatt cards. And those are all kind of like end game for me, where um, it's probably going to be one of the most difficult decisions I'm going to make of letting go of my platinum card with all the benefits that I actually
Yeah.
use, and then going to a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is just dog water in comparison. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the reserve, but I can see a use case for it, but I definitely
yeah,
wouldn't now. But yeah, no. To your point, buying Hyatt points is really easy. So my wife and I, we knew we were going to stay in New York, and New York last December, it was towards the middle of December, so it was really expensive. We were looking at most of the places were like $600, $800, and just for regular places, like the Residence Inn was there, in Times Square was like that, and so it was like, okay, if we know we're spending that much, let's take a look. We bought. So I decided to buy points. I think it was like maybe $600 worth of points, and we ended up actually using those points, 45,000 points, to stay at the Park Hyatt in New York. And they gave us an upgraded room because we told them we were celebrating our anniversary, which we actually were. So I wasn't lying with them. But they gave us an upgraded view. We actually had a view like of Central Park, like between some buildings, but it was still great, you know. So that was nice. But yeah, it's definitely easy to get value from buying points. It's definitely not something that we all like to talk about because a lot of us are kind of cheap. But you definitely can do that. Kirby says Chase Inks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can at least get
VCF
one.
cards.
You know, yeah. My wife actually has a business, so luckily we may be able to get another one someday. But sadly, after this dumb built card, I'll be 8/24, so Chase is cooked for me. Yeah, that's sad. Hopefully the built card's going to be good. All right, well, I think
Yeah, we'll
that
see.
might do us, unless you have something else that you kind of wanted to say before we wrap up.
Yeah, everybody, hit the like and subscribe. Subscribe to Philip's newsletter. Really cool guy, very informative. As a matter of fact, I learned more from you. So
Oh,
this
thank you.
is this is always a lot of fun. Glad to just like interact with the community. Learn a
Yeah,
lot of new things about hotels. For me, hotels have always been something that I just pay cash for, don't even think twice. But I
right.
think it's really interesting, like once you develop a strategy and once you formulate kind of like a game plan or something that you want to do, it's really fun to see things kind of like click into place and
Absolutely.
everything that you planned out like coming to fruition. Like it's a lot of fun. So for those
Yeah,
that are, on the fence or just don't want to do the work or don't want to do the effort because maybe they're a little nervous or they just don't see the value in it, there's always going to be some form of value. So um, yeah, I always recommend give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, then you can scrap it, but don't count yourself out before you try anything. So
that's awesome. And with that, we can go ahead and start wrapping things up. I definitely want to make sure that I thank Mike Newland again for the 20 spot. You are incredible. But yeah, no, lounge access at the Waldorf is really nice. We did get one last comment here. Anyone all in on Rove Miles? I haven't been, but it seems like that's been pretty good. Have you experienced any Rove Miles?
negative.
No. Okay.
I have not. I've heard a lot of good things, just the amount of points that you can get for it, but I think it's
Yeah.
just something that's a little bit farther. Like after I'm done running a train on American Express and Marriott, then maybe I can start doing that. So
Yeah. That's amazing. All right, yeah. Matt Clausen's really into Rove. I do know that much.
yeah.
Background, nar. Barely caught the live stream, but at least caught it as it ends. I'm also not an Aussie. All right, well, thanks so much for being here. Background, I love you. Thanks, you're always amazing. So you're great. Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, Matt Clausen is in the Rove thing. Yeah, he will definitely be the guy. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me, everyone. We really appreciate you. You could be anywhere on Sunday. You actually chose to be here. So thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Thanks so much to you, Daniel, for being here. You make these really interesting, and I hope we get a chance to do these again in the future. But anyway,
100%.
thanks again for everyone here, and hope you have a great day.
So yeah.